Welcome back to the natural area of Mountain View. I hope you eagles are having a wonderful morning, or whatever time of day it is. Right now, it's a beautiful morning, but kind of cool, but warm in the sun. But we're going to go where it's not so warm. We're taking a left, not too far into the opening. Right now, we're going under some trees that used to be someone's Christmas trees. As I said, all the animal and plant beings out here have their own stories. And we will probably find out their story at some point over the next few weeks. Now, we're heading east out the main path, and we're going to take a left. And we're going to delve into the forest. This I call the hedge forest because it's kind of like a big hedge in between the dry, open wetland grassland and the playground. So on my left is the playground, and on my right is the wetlands, and the hedge forest is in between. And I love this little forest. Now, its big backstory is that I think it was planted maybe 30 to 40 years ago. So the trees here are getting a little bit older. And it was planted, I think, by like scouts that came and did some planting. And so we have, over the years, things have opened up, and we have got a trail in here now. This is a magical little area, and it kind of winds through. You can't quite see how dark it is. There's light popping through. So we're going to take one quick look now, but we're going to take a stop up here and hopefully see some evidence that will help us solve and see if we can solve a mystery. Here we go. So Mr. Papineau's class set out all these. Actually, first Mr. Papineau came out with a chainsaw and got a lot of the low limbs down to open things up for us to walk. And then his students put these logs that were cut, the branches, down to be our little walkway. Now here we have a spot. Some of you have seen this. Some of you have been here before. And I want to get nice and close and see if you can see this thing right here. This is evidence of a critter that's been out here. This was once a skunk. Now it's just a skunk pelt. How did the skunk get here? It clearly died. Something got it. It could have just gotten, sick and died here in the forest, but chances are, especially since this is the second skunk pelt that we have seen out here, there are little remnants of other ones that have been here. Something has been killing skunk out here. So the first thing that tells us is there are skunk living in this little woods. The second question is, who is eating it? So the other little bit of evidence are these black blobs that can be found in this area. Now here's one that's kind of decomposed. Here's another one here. Get really close, you can start to see bones. They often, when they first start, they're really tight. Someone might think that they're scat or poop of an animal, but nope, these were barf. They are owl barf. They come up, and there's a little bit more pelt. What owls do is they tend to eat their prey whole. I don't know if they could eat a skunk whole, but then they barf up these pellets that are full of the bones and fur and everything of the animal that they ate. Now I thought it was a cone at first, but there is definitely a pellet. Now for years I've known that this hedge forest is an owl cafeteria. I've been finding owl pellets out here for years. Now, these things, we did not put these here. This is where they landed. So I'm going to guess that the owl sits up here in this tree and munches on lunch or dinner or breakfast. But oh my gosh, what kind of a creature, what kind of an owl could eat a skunk? Skunk are really big. Well, it would have to be a really big owl. And the big owl that lives around here is the great horned owl. So the mystery, my best guess for solving this mystery, is that this owl cafeteria right now is home to a great horned owl. There have been days when I've brought people out here and we have seen the owl swooping up there, up above the trees. Super quiet. Owls swoop almost silently because of their feathers. So if you come out here, keep your eyes peeled for swooping owls. Keep your nose out for skunks. Oh, that's one of the other little pieces of evidence that I am using, because I don't always just make wild guesses. I go and I go online and I research things. Turns out great horned owls like to eat skunks. They can't smell the skunk smell, so that skunk can go and spray it all at once and it does not care. So that's another little piece of evidence suggesting that, yep, we've got great horned owls and skunks living here, and that the great horned owls are turning the skunks into lunch. Let's walk a little bit farther. So this was actually a whole story we got to learn. So that's the kind of thing that we can do in each of these different areas. Now what's on the left, the trees are mostly Douglas fir and Sitka spruce, and they will tell their story at some point along the way in the next couple of weeks. And down here, I love the sun poking through the trees. So on the left is pretty much all fir and spruce, and on the right, and it really has kind of a different feel. And as you start walking, you'll see that underneath the trees on the ground, it's covered with lots and lots and lots of needles that are long. These are pines. I call this the piney woods. And it has kind of its own little trail back in there. And it actually heads to where I know there are some skunks living. And then, see, I'm finishing this little quick tour of the hedge forest. And we're heading out here. The very end, it used to go a ways farther, but last fall there was a big old windstorm. Then we had ice, but in that windstorm, one of the trees in here fell down. There it is, and it's blocking the trail. We could go a little farther, but this is it. End of the trail for now. All right, and that's another little bit of the story of the whole hedge forest, is sometimes they planted things that really should not have been living here. And we'll learn more about that. So I love this little forest. It's a natural type forest, even though they got planted. And it really feels wonderful. Kind of cool this morning. Birds singing. I do not know who that is. I really hope to learn more about how to identify birds by their calls. So maybe we can do some of that together. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this little morning walk through the hedge forest and the mystery of the owls and the skunks. And and if you know any more about owls and skunks, some of you are becoming experts on different kinds of birds and animals. So if you know more, be sure to tell us and share with us what you know. All right, we'll be back again to the natural area and visit other areas and hear some stories. Take care.